Welcome back to Light Talk, where the paranormal and the supernatural is a part of our everyday lives. We have a wonderful, wonderful guest tonight. Lots to be talking about, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So, um, let's get started. So, I will welcome you and go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay. My name is Robin Haynes. I have a business called Paranormal Empowerment. I have a website at www.paranormal-empowerment.com. And I have been around the cryptids since I was extremely small. The first ET abduction I remember was when I was 4. And I had the cryptids around me that I remember before then. I've never not had them around. I've been working with them and learning from them my whole life, or any recollection of my life that I am aware of. I deal with pretty much anything paranormal, whether it is spirits, ghosts, aliens, good and bad, UFO abductees, UFOs. In fact, I think I sent you some of the photos and videos and those kinds of things. And I work with people as far as frequency and energy work, getting them into using their collective consciousness and getting into that higher frequency to get into the higher dimensions. I work with them on communicating with the cryptids, understanding them, their ways, some of their laws, how to interact with them and do it safely. Safely is my main concern. I teach people, once you're in a higher frequency, your abilities kick in. So I teach people how to access their abilities, work with their abilities, do things that are for the greater good as well as themselves. People don't realize that we really are a high frequency type being. And in order to have balance and have our life the way we'd like it to, and I'm not talking about things that we're given in our life, I'm talking about spiritually, you have to have balance. That means 1 foot in the third dimensional world and 1 foot in the paranormal spectrum. Our bodies are just a vessel. That's all they are. It's a holding container. We have a third dimensional mind and a third dimensional body. Everything else is frequency, energy, your soul, your consciousness. Those are all higher frequencies, higher dimensions. So I work with people on the mechanics on how all of that works, how tapping into that to give yourself a better sense of self. Most people go through life feeling like the round peg in the square hole. This answers all those questions. And you become more like yourself than you have ever been in your life. I've not had anybody that ever told me it didn't. And it gets you into the higher frequencies. Our planet is going through a shift. It's going through an energy change. It is important and vital that we go through it as well. Our bodies are changing. We're going from carbon-based to crystalline. So there's a lot of things going on right now. And I pretty much get everybody through it. I explain how it's going on. I think it's always important to tell everybody, I was not taught at a college. I was not taught in any books or anything like that. I learned it from the cryptids. I learned it from the aliens. I learned it from angels, Earthkeeper, the Master, all of these things. So that's where my knowledge comes from. Not that I think anybody that writes any of the books are not qualified. Absolutely nothing but respect for them. But they were written with third dimensional minds. And these are all higher frequencies. Now, do I think they have accuracy in their books? They probably do. Like, I would never say anything negative about it. I haven't read them. I don't even go back and watch the shows that I do. I like to keep everything fresh and learn from the things that it actually comes from. And then I share that with people. I help them with their experiences, their communication, whether it's mind speak abilities or whatever. And if you, like you said, if you want services, you can find me on that website. But also, if you just want to reach out, I'm on Facebook under Robin Haynes, Haynes, no middle initial.
Awesome. That's great. I mean, I love that you have so much experience with all of them. And I'm sure we're going to have like 4 shows with you because you have so much to talk about.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
I
Yeah,
am
Easter
going
was
into
definitely,
all of this stuff.
Yeah, Easter was very unique this year. I went to one of my best friend's house, him and his wife and his family. I go there for the holidays. I'm driving down the road. I had a friend on the phone. I'm talking. I'm watching the exits. I'm on the expressway. And I'm like, okay, I'm 5 miles away from my exit. Next thing you know, I'm driving through the middle of the woods on a 2-lane road. And I said to my friend, I said, I don't have any recollection of getting off of this expressway. Like, did I get spacey? Did I act different? Did I quit talking? And she's like, no, we've been carrying on a conversation. Did you miss the exit? I said, I didn't miss anything. I don't even know where I'm at. Like, I have no clue where I'm at. And I had missing time, and it's happened before. This happens to me a lot. And so I'm driving down the road, and she's like, well, are you upset? I'm like, no, not at all. It's not the first time this has happened. Obviously, I'm supposed to go here. I don't know where I'm at. So I contacted my friend whose house I was going to, and I said, listen, got hijacked again. I'm perfectly fine. I get myself out of this all the time. I'll be there. Don't worry about it. And something told me to take pictures. So I pull on the side of the road. I get out. I'm taking pictures of the trees that are lined up and down the road. And I'm like, okay, first time they've ever told me to take pictures. Usually they will pull me. They mess with my GPS. It will change. I'll end up somewhere I'm not supposed to be. And they want energy work. Not a problem. So I take these pictures and I go down this road. It takes me to a park that I go to out of state quite frequently to work with the Sasquatch and the Dogmen there. And we've actually got some good photos of them. And I'm like, okay, guys, all you would have had to do is mind speak and say to come here. Like, you don't have to hijack the entire car. So I do the energy work they want me to do. And I go to my friend's house. And he's like, hey, have you checked the photos? And I said, no, it told me to take pictures. And I just sent the pictures to you. He said, you should check them. I go to check them. The whole road up and down in the trees is nothing but orbs. And some of these orbs have faces in them. It is incredible. Like, you couldn't see them with the naked eye. But when you take a picture of something paranormal, even if it's cloaked and you can't see it, it generally will come up in the camera lens. And I'm looking at this, and there were beings standing on the side of the road, and there's like orbs up and down the side of it, some of them with faces, some without. And I was just like, this is incredible. Like, I don't even know why this is happening. So, yeah. Never a dull moment.
That's incredible. Yeah.
I'll have to send you the photos. Yeah. The photos they make you flip.
Oh, I would love to see them. I would love to see them. I've
Yeah,
had the same
absolutely.
experience. I've had the same experience, not being hijacked like that, but out my bedroom window. I had the same experience. I saw nothing with the bare eye, but through my camera, I'm seeing this entity dancing back and forth. And then we relook at it, and it's completely different looking yet.
What happens is if you have anything that can cloak, which I've not found anything paranormal that doesn't have the cloaking ability. Cloaking is the easiest thing in the world for them. Okay. They raise their frequency, and frequency is just basically a vibration. So as they raise that frequency and they vibrate enough to the point that it bends the light around them. And so that's how they cloak. It's not really a difficult thing. It is for us because we don't vibrate quick enough. Compare it to a hummingbird. If you see a hummingbird at a hummingbird feeder, you see the head, you see the neck, you see the body. Those wings are flapping, which is a vibration, so quickly you do not see the wings. You only see the body and the head. So this is basically the same thing the cryptids do. So when you take a photograph of them while they are cloaked, they are vibrating to bend the light around them, and they aren't focused on that camera. And they're vibrating specifically to stay cloaked. And so in the picture, they come out physical. I literally have hundreds of pictures of them that way. You know, and the other thing is if you do get a physical sighting, do not put them in the middle of your camera. Put them off to the side, because if you put them in the middle of the screen, they radiate energy. They're a very high frequency energy being. Like, I've gotten where I'm standing like directly in front of them, and the energy that comes off of them is just overwhelming. It feels like a heavy, heavy blanket, like you can hardly move. It's not painful at all. And they're not doing it to hurt anybody. It's just part of their body chemistry. And so when you use a camera on them, that frequency is so high, it blurs the digital camera. So if you put them off screen, like take a picture of a tree somewhere else and just have them in the outside of the frame, that energy doesn't hit the
Uh-huh.
digital camera quite as strong and you can get a better picture of them.
Wow. Yeah. Mine was off on the side. I
Mm-hmm.
actually have it on my website. So you can look at my website and
Okay.
see that. And that's lighttalkwithdana.com. And
Didn't I
yeah, that
send,
I
yeah,
think we
I
sent
think I,
pictures.
yeah, I thought I sent you a bunch of them. Yeah. And I think I sent
Yeah.
you the UFO video.
Yes, I believe
Yeah.
you did.
The UFO video was taken. I've always had ships around my house. I've been outside when they've landed. I've had the abductions, the time loss. I've had the stuff I've had done is ridiculous. But um, that film was actually taken by my son-in-law. I was outside, he was outside filming it, and he hollered to me, and I went out on the porch. So him and my daughter and myself were all standing on the front porch while he was filming that. He sent it to MUFON, and MUFON said it was a class 1 sighting. It was not terrestrial. They checked everything. And then they used it at one of their top symposiums a couple years ago. It's actually a
Oh,
really, really
wow.
good footage. And I think I sent you the one too, where there's a triangular shaped craft and there's an open portal underneath and a beam coming out of the portal. I think I sent you that one as well.
I'd have to relook at it, but yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to relook.
Yeah.
Yeah, so much. There's so much. I've taken pictures of things that are just weird, mainly like from my bathroom. I have, when I get out of
Yeah.
the shower, my mirror's got the stuff on it. I've got a lot of different faces that I've taken pictures of. That's from my
Yep.
mirror. Yeah, that's on my website too. But yeah, it's kind of crazy stuff, but it's so cool. So
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. It's been a wild ride. I'm very blessed. It's been crazy, but I am extremely blessed.
So, how did you get started? I know you said it was very early in life, but how did you get started and how did you start communicating and talking with like Dogman and all of these cryptids? How did that all kind of start
Well,
up with you?
when I was, obviously I don't remember when I was an infant. They have shown
Mhm.
me mental pictures of when I was an infant and various things, but I don't remember when they weren't there, which sounds really bizarre, but I don't remember. I remember being like, I have memories back to when I was like 3 and 4 years old, looking out the window and seeing them look back in. I probably could mind speak before I could talk very well, because I don't recall any time in my entire life that I did not get it. I get it from spirits, I get it from cryptids, I get it from aliens. If animals, people don't realize just how telepathic animals are. Like my animals talk to me all the time. If one of my friends is having a problem with their animals, they'll call me and have me talk to them, or what, different things. My friend Brian Bland, he's got this adorable little dog named Charlie. He's the sweetest baby. And Brian and I were doing a show, and he showed me Charlie, and Charlie told me, I heard him, he was mind speaking. He's like, tell him I want my blue ball. So I said to Brian, I said, he wants his blue ball. I don't know if there's a rope or something on it, but he wants it. And he looked at me in the camera and he's like, just a minute. And he got up and he came back and he said, just so everybody knows, there is a blue ball. And he's showing, the blue ball. So it's just, this is how my life was. Like for me, I don't know any different. My normal is not everybody else's normal. Like I wouldn't know how to be normal. I couldn't function like that because I just never have. Um, Premonitions, I was having premonitions, in grade school. The kids would be on the playground and I'd say, don't get up on the jungle gym because you're going to fall and you're going to cut yourself right here over your eye. And they would laugh at me and tease me. I was alone a lot. And then he'd climb up and he'd fall and get cut exactly how I said. So premonitions were a huge part. saw my first spirit, and I was like, I want to say 4 or 5. And it was at Christmas time, and it was not Santa. It was not Santa, but he was very nice and very kind. Um, and looked like a man that was dressed like possibly 1500s. And it's just always been that way. Mind speak. I wasn't taught to mind speak. I think I knew it before I could talk correctly. And that was my form of communication with them. I could go off and do my own thing because I was talking all this stuff all the time anyway. And the accuracy in it kind of floored people because I would say, well, this, and this. And my mom would look at me and she's like, how do you know that? Well, I got told that. And they just were always there. I don't remember them ever not being there. I never went in search of any of these things. They were just always there. Like my normal growing up was very abnormal. And my sister, I never told, to be clear, I never told my family because I didn't want everybody to think I was crazy. I had very kind, loving parents. They were not judgmental at all. I did ask when I was like 5, I think it was 4 or 5 years old. And I said, what is a Bigfoot? Well, nobody knew about him then. There was not even books out on him. There was no movies about him. There's nothing about him. I was born in 1964. Patterson Gimlin came out in 67. So it wasn't even out yet. And I was asking about it. And my mom and dad were very kind. And they never said, you're making it up. They just said, we don't know anything about it. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, they're real because I'm seeing them all the time. And I knew what they were. I knew information about them. How many 4-year-olds are outside looking for stick structures? I never went anywhere that I didn't look for them. I went to school with a girl and I don't even remember this, but she found me on Facebook several years ago. And she said, I remember when we were kids and you took me out in the woods and introduced me to the Sasquatch. I said, what? She said, yeah, we were like 13. Don't you remember that? And she's like, ever since then, she says, there's been UFOs all over the place. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to do that to you. But, anywhere we would go, everybody else is having a good time. I wasn't. I was in the woods looking around because I knew they'd show up. And they always did, but I had witness to it. If I had gone through my whole life with this stuff and I did not have witnesses, if I did not have photographs, if I didn't have film and hair samples and foot casts and all of these other things, I would say it was nuts. My world is very different than a lot of people's because I've had these experiences and I've had witnesses to prove it. I can take a lie detector test, doesn't bother me at all. And people that are around me generally at some point in time. I had somebody come and stay the night at my house. I was doing a conference for him, and he had asked if he could come stay because my house was closer to the conference than his. And he was here the first night, and he was terrified to ever come back. He did come back, but he was terrified. He said, well, I hope I see a Sasquatch. And I said, I don't have that control over them. They're human. I mean, they're a human hybrid. And I don't have that kind of control over him. But I said to him, I said, guys, do something, shake a bush, make a noise, do something. Don't have to show yourself. And they did when he was out getting his bag out of the car, and it scared the living bejesus out of him. He ran in the house like he'd been shot out of a cannon, went out on my back porch. And one of the ones I'm really close to is out back with the dogs and playing it. They will do the belly crawl in the backyard. They love my dogs. They're phenomenal with them. And he saw him in the backyard. So he ran back in scared to death. And then he went upstairs to stay because we have guest rooms, and he went to stay there and saw a small child spirit going up the stairs, and it absolutely terrified him. And I'm like, it's fine. Like, nobody has ever been hurt at my house. People generally see things, but I've never had anybody get hurt. It's just part of my normal.
Yeah. And you've got the good normal. You're good normal, not.
Yeah, have I dealt with the bad?
What? You were saying, you were saying that you have dealt with the bad. So
absolutely, 100% dealt with the bad stuff. I still deal with the bad stuff, especially right now. There's a lot of changes going on the planet, and there's a spiritual war going on right now on the planet. So The bad stuff pops up from time to time. Do I get attacked? Oh yeah. The bad stuff hates me, the good stuff loves me, and it works out. I stand for the greater good, so the bad stuff doesn't like it. But yeah, I deal with both of it. The stuff that's around me I usually just, the good stuff stays around. I do a lot of energy work, a lot of high frequency work. Bad things cannot survive in high frequency. Basically, what it does to them is the equivalent of getting out of a shower, sopping wet, and grabbing a hot wire fence. So I make sure that I keep my house and my property very energetically charged and with high frequency.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So when do you notice the negative coming in, and how does the others that are the good, do they kind of help protect you in those
Yeah,
times of
at
negative?
times. I don't rely on that kind of a system because, to be clear, they can love us as much as they can, but they're never going to protect us over their own people. And they do have laws. They have their own culture. They have their own way of life. The laws are they don't interfere with our world. We don't interfere with theirs. However, they have saved my life 6 times, of which I am extremely grateful. I do healing work on the cryptids as well as any paranormal beings. And so I try to reciprocate with the healing work that I do. But most of the time, they're really pretty good about letting me know before an attack. And so that's very helpful. Do they all the time? No. Sometimes they're off sleeping off on the job or somebody's not around when they say they're going to be around. But, for the most part, they are extremely kind and helpful. I always make sure everybody knows that when it comes to anything in the paranormal spectrum, and that means cryptids, dimensionals, elementals, aliens, everything, there is good and bad. Okay. If you get anybody that tells you, oh, it's all good, it's all unicorns and rainbows, it's not. Okay. The cosmic balance has to be good and bad because everything has free will. You don't appreciate the good if you don't understand the bad. And if it was a world where there was only good, the only way to keep that kind of utopia and that kind of good, you would have to do bad things to anybody that used their free will to break that chain. So then it puts you back in the good and bad category. So everything was created to have good and bad in it. I will say this, I would rather be in the woods with the bad cryptids than I would be in certain places of our own people because the cryptids have been kinder. So, but just I always put that out there, kind of like a little disclosure. There is good and bad in all of them. The good ones are the most in-depth love you'll ever find because as a high frequency being, all the emotions run deeper. They love deeper, they hate deeper, they get angry harder, they get sorrow harder. The higher the frequency, the more emotional. That's why an empath can have such an emotional roller coaster. I am an empath. I have an absolute ton of different abilities that I use as needed. And as an empath, I can vouch for the fact that we are high frequency beings, which is how we tap into our abilities. So all your emotions are much higher, just absolutely through the roof higher. Things that shouldn't bother you will completely bother you. Something as easy as watching a commercial. Your emotions run much higher.
I did that in high school. I was watching like some sort of diaper commercial and I was just like crying.
Oh,
It's
I
like,
know.
whoa.
Yeah, and an empath, I think,
Yeah.
is probably one of the hardest abilities to have. I have a lot of clients and students that are empaths. You would be amazed the amount of people that are intuitive and empathetic. And it is very difficult. And you have to, part of your training comes down to learning how to identify what's your emotions and what is somebody else's. Like I'll be here working with a client or something, and then all of a sudden I will get either fear, sorrow, anger, happiness, love, whatever. And I do the 3 things every time. Who are you? What are you? And where are you? And I actually have a couple different dogs and cats that I got because they were the ones that contacted me and were in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to go find where they told me they were at and go get them. Which is why I
Yeah,
have so many.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah, that is just so amazing. I feel like I have seen like three cryptids, or seen two, heard one.
Yeah.
Um, so that was really incredible. But yeah, amazing. It's just it's still like dream world to me. But
Yeah.
knowing this stuff has happened, but it's like it's not real
Well,
to me yet.
yeah. And the thing is people need to understand the cryptids that we know of, that's just the top of the iceberg. There are
Hmm.
literally a multitude of cryptids that have no name. The Sasquatch call these the Micaiah, and to them, the word Micaiah means thee that walks the earth that has no name. And these are unnamed cryptids that we have not put a label on or discovered whether they're created by the government, they're created by the ETs, or they were naturally born here. But there is a lot of them, more than you would even possibly imagine.
I can believe that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, our world is not what everybody thinks it is. Our world is basically a matrix with a multitude of planes, and some planes, the conversation we're having now has already happened. On other planes, it hasn't. Dream state is not this imaginary fictional place that everybody just went to sleep and had this dream. Can you be watching a TV show and dream about it? Absolutely. That's done through your consciousness. But the actual plane of dream state is real. You can get hurt there, you can get killed there, you can have joy there, you can have sorrow there. It is very real. And a lot of these beings will try to connect with you in dream state. The good ones will do it as a way to gradually get you used to them while you're in a very relaxed state. And all of those things are done through your consciousness. There's a huge difference in what your consciousness teaches us and how it works, the mechanics of it and the capabilities of it, opposed to a third dimensional state. Okay, our bodies are just containers. That's all they are. That is not who we are.
Yeah. I can believe that with the one experience I had of being outside my body and I was just energy behind me.
Yes, that's
It was like
amazing. Good for
pretty
you.
that was that was pretty crazy. And well, I was driving at the time, so I don't know if that was good or bad, but
Oh,
that was that was kind of crazy. But yeah, um,
I
that
get
right
in the car.
there gives me, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
That one there, it helps me understand even more that we're energy and not what
Yes.
we think we are, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. And you were
We have
saying,
been taught and trained to live in a third dimensional world.
mhm,
And the reality of that is our brains only absorb so much because they can't process anything else. That's why a lot of people have a very difficult time realizing that these cryptids and these paranormal things actually exist. It's not that there's anything wrong with these people, it's that they're living in that third dimension to the point where that brain can't accept it. Okay. And it's like high frequency people around low frequency people, they make the low frequency very uncomfortable. High frequency people are uncomfortable being around the low. So it goes both ways. But a low frequency person, the reaction is quite different than how a high frequency person deals with it. When the two frequencies, think of opposing magnets. Okay, that's kind of how it works. So if we've all had at a time in our life gone up and been around somebody that we did not know well or at all, and they were just mean to us. We have no idea why they were mean to us. They just were. And we're sitting there thinking, I've done nothing to you. I don't even know you. Why are you being horrible to me? The reason for that is because those were a low frequency person. You're a higher frequency person. Your body reads energy. There's a disconnect and a lag time from when your body reads the energy until it processes and filters and goes to the brain. The brain is third dimensional. It doesn't know how to read energy. Only your body does. Your consciousness does, not your physical body. So when your consciousness reads that energy, if you were a low frequency person, by the time that lag, it's going to be repulsed. They're not going to want to be around each other. So for a low frequency person, by the time it processes to that third dimensional brain, it comes into dislike, hate, there's aggression, all of these things. So they aren't even understanding why they don't like you, why they're treating you badly. They're just doing it because that's what the third dimensional brain deals with. It's like I deal with some patients that have a lot of trauma. They've gone to therapy. It's not working for them. They'll contact me. I'm also psychic. And they're like, can you tell me what these moments are blacked out happen? Yeah, absolutely can. Well, I know. I'm not going to tell you because your brain is not letting you remember it because it can't handle it. It's a third dimensional brain. So what I do, not only with people with blacked out memories, but with people with a lot of trauma that have carried this trauma for a lifetime, I'm not a doctor. Okay. I don't pretend to be. I would never even tell anybody I am. I know frequency and energy, and I know the capabilities. So you go through, you learn how to raise your frequency, get into your consciousness. In a high frequency with the collective consciousness, there is no fear. And there becomes a clarity and a sense of understanding about yourself that you never knew existed. When you get in that higher frequency, then your consciousness lets you remember. And the memories come in, and the trauma, even if you do remember it, the trauma is there. But now, because you're in a higher frequency and in that collective consciousness, you're able to cope. Your coping mechanisms are completely different. You see things and you perceive things in a completely different light. So it doesn't look dark and horrible. Even a bad situation, you will look at it and say, okay, this is why this happened. I might not have caused it, but this is what went on. And you find a calmness about yourself, and you learn how to deal with it in a higher frequency, in a calmer manner. And it actually works. It really does. I've had trauma many years ago, and that's how I coped with it. I have several people that have extreme trauma and abuse in their background, and that's what they've done, and it works. It actually works. Do I guarantee anything? I don't. I'm not God. I can't guarantee anything. And I'm not an expert. I don't claim to be an expert. Never said I was an expert. I know what I've been taught, and I've been taught by the beings that actually know about it. So, do I know everything? No. And I'm very honest. I will tell you if I don't know it. Say I'll ask them about it for you. But if I don't know it, I have no problem saying I don't. If anybody tells you they're an expert, please run at the speed of light, because there is no experts. And if they're claiming to be, then you're looking at somebody that's, not really being very honest.
Yeah, there's no way we can be experts. There's just way too
No.
much to know. There's
No,
just
I learn
way too
something
much.
every day. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
No.
Crazy what's out there that we don't even know about yet.
No. And how, if you're an expert, that means you are, you've read all the books on it, you know everything there is to know about it. There is no book out there that will tell you everything there is to know about it, and they're not going to give up absolutely everything, because then it puts them at a disadvantage. I'm very blessed they've taught me through the years what they've taught me, and continue to teach me. I get prophetic messages from them that they want me to share with people, all of those things, and I'm very blessed. Do I think it's a me thing? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm just lucky enough that they trust me, and want to teach me.
Right, right. Yeah, take that as a blessing for sure, because not
Absolutely.
everybody
Absolutely.
has that
No, and
opportunity to have
yeah,
these experiences.
and they
Yeah.
can take it away just as quickly as they give it. I've been very blessed that they've continued to work with me and teach me all these years, and I will hopefully be able to do that for quite a while. I did a conference in Russia, the scientific conference there, and this was back in like 2011 or 12. I came back from that, and I didn't think anybody in the States would know about it. I just went there to talk about Sasquatch, and I talked about the physical aspect, not the paranormal aspect. I came home, I got pulled around in customs at the airport, because they're like, oh, you're that American woman that was on TV. They had me on every major network. I had no idea. I was on MSNBC, ABC, CBS, NBC, you name it. I was on it, Fox, CNN, and I didn't even know about it. And I came back and I had death threats. I had people wanting to kill me. I had people wanting to catch me and put me in a kid. There was a kidnapping attempt, and thank you, Sasquatch and Dogman, because they stopped it. But there were all of these things that were life threatening. And I thought, these people are nuts. This is why I prefer being in the woods with my cryptids than I do. So I took a step back. I said, I'm not doing any more conferences. I'm not talking. I'm not doing anything. You people are all crazy. And I stayed out in the woods with my groups. I did. My kids would go to school during the day. I was out in the woods playing with the Sasquatch and the Dogman all day. That's what I did. My kids grew up around them, and it's not like they weren't aware of them. But years went by. I did a couple of really tiny conferences that it drew more attention. I mean, it was good for the conference. They were very happy with it, but I was kind of like a little uncomfortable. And there was another kidnapping attempt. And I said, forget it. I'm done. And then about, I want to say 8 years ago now, the Sasquatch said, listen, it's time. Like, you need to go out. You've got to tell people the truth. And so before I go on any show, I asked them, is this one that you're comfortable with me being on and speaking your truth? Not just my truth, but your truth. And I have shows that they'll say, no, don't go there. And I don't go there. I do this for them. And as soon as they say they don't need me to, then I'll disappear again. But, for now, this is the path that apparently they want me on. So that's what I do.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Yeah, it just leaves me speechless. I say this all the time. It's just amazing. It just amazes me. And
Yeah.
that people can't just be, like if they don't like what you're saying or don't agree with it, then just move on.
Yeah.
You
And
just
it's
say,
not even just
okay, I
people,
don't
it's the
agree with
government.
it.
Yeah, it's not just people, it's the
Yeah.
government. I've had ET show up at my door and tell me to stop talking. I've had my brakes cut. I've had my lug nuts taken out of my car. I've had snipers like within 50 feet from my window, and I do work for the Sasquatch and all cryptids, and they will send me to different places to do various things. And most of the time it goes as planned. I go in, I do the work, I go out, whether it's repairing a portal or a vortex or blessing graves or healing the energy in the land, whatever they need me to do. But there's been a couple times I've been followed by government and shot at. I mean, it's like I have a car with a bullet hole through the window. So, you know, most people's path in the paranormal is not I know what my role is. I know what I'm supposed to do. And I'm nothing special, guys. It's just, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm one of those people, I don't care if anybody knows my name or not. As long as they get the information that they need for themselves, I'm a happy girl. But my path is not a normal path. I know what I'm supposed to do and what I'm not supposed to do and how it's supposed to go down. Most people don't have that. Okay. So that fear of being injured or whatever is not something they have to deal with. I've known this, what was supposed to happen with me since I was very, very young, and nothing's changed. It goes in streaks where it gets worse and better. I worked with Dr. Melba Ketchum on the Sasquatch Genome Project, that everybody shredded. The sad thing about that, number one, it was 100% legit. I did not know her. The Sasquatch told me to find the woman with the light blonde hair that knew the truth about them. They had already told me what they were. It wasn't like it was a big shock to me. I didn't know her. I got a message to somebody that she knew, said, listen, they want me to help her. I'm not a science. That's above my pay grade. I don't do science. I'm not a scientist. I communicate with these cryptids. I hang out with them. That's what I do. And I said, tell her if she wants help in any way, I'm here for her. This is what they want me to do, but I'm not a scientist. I can't do any of that stuff. And so she contacted me, and I ended up helping with the project in other ways. I didn't do the science. That project was the most legit thing out there, and everybody crucified her for it. And the sad thing about it is if people, not that we had a lot of support too. And for those people, I am extremely grateful and feel very blessed for the supporters that we had, because we had some amazing, tremendous supporters that really stuck by our side. And I'm forever grateful for that. But at the same time, there were a lot of haters. And it got to the point we didn't get all the information out. Everybody's like, well, it's this. You know what? They don't have a clue, because all the really juicy stuff, all the really important stuff never got brought out. We had government death threats. We had these haters that were making up all kinds of malicious, stupid stuff that never happened, had nothing to do with it, because people refused to listen. They didn't want the truth. We were approved to go out on scientific journals, Nature being one of the top ones, and they pulled it from us because the government interfered. But nobody wanted to hear that. They just wanted to attack her credibility and anybody with the project, which is really, really not a good thing. We got it out the only way we could, thinking the main thing was, no matter how it got out, was the information, because it was legit. We were crucified. So, all the real good stuff didn't get out. The explanations for things didn't get out because people would not listen. They were so busy making up lies and malicious accusations and untrue stories that just there was no merit to whatsoever. We couldn't get our head above water to tell anybody anything, because they didn't want to know it. And so now, all these years later, welcome Cryptid Genome Project. So she's going to finish what she started, how it's going to be presented to the public. And I'm helping her again. It's, everybody kind of, not everybody bailed, but she tried to protect the people that had turned in the samples and get them out of the way, because we didn't know how bad this was going to go. She called me on the phone and she's like, you got kids, get out. And I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. And I stayed. And so now she's got the cryptid genome one done. We are waiting on test results back. Everybody's like, well, nothing's going on. If anybody really knew how long it took to get these tests back, like genomes are being pulled, and this is on the Dogman. I think she's also got some samples for the Sasquatch that's being redone. She is not doing any of her own testing this time that I'm aware of. If she is, she has not done it yet. She is using some very, very top labs. And hopefully, she was not the only one that tested it the last time. They went to the top labs in the country. It wasn't just her. Robotic arms were used, so there was no contamination. Great Lengths went to it. Same thing this time. Excuse me. So hopefully we get those back sometime in the near future. And I'm not sure how it's going to be presented yet. If she's just going to put it out there and finish it.
Do you feel like there's enough evidence of like the DNA and everything to where we now can say, yes, this is a DNA of a Sasquatch, or this is a DNA of a Dogman or Mothman,
Absolutely.
or whoever?
We had 100 for the Sasquatch. There's 100, I believe it was 133. Don't quote me on the number. It's been like 10, 12 years. But we had all that. We had blood, we had flesh, we had saliva, we had a toenail, we had hair. I mean, and that was just a few things that we had. That wasn't everything. That was just a few things. Like, there is no question. I do understand it is very hard for people to wrap their brains about it. I do. And a lot of the lower vibrational people, not saying that doesn't mean all lower vibrational people are bad. I'm not saying that at all. But they aren't able to grasp it. And I get it. And there's also a lot of jealousy in this industry. Nobody wanted her to get it when they hadn't got it yet. They kept focusing on the fact that at one time she was a vet. They didn't focus on the fact that she was a geneticist. She had her own DNA lab, that she testified in court on DNA evidence, or that she was there and helped identify bodies at 9/11. I mean, all of these credentials all got wiped off the map, and they said, oh, well, she was a vet. Well, she was a damn good vet, but she's also got all these other credentials. And quite honestly, I think this was not her most exciting thing that she wanted to do after what was done to her with the Sasquatch one. But, she wants to finish this. She wants to finish what she started. And we do have DNA samples from the dogmen. And so she's like, I'm just going to do it. She is going to probably redo, I think, if she hasn't already got them submitted, some of the Sasquatch samples just to get some more information than what we had. She is literally sitting on a powder keg of information that people would love about the Sasquatch, but nobody can behave long enough to get it. We have, like I said, our supporters are the best there is, and they deserve the information because they've stuck through thick and thin, and they are tremendous. And from the bottom of my heart, I thank them. But there's so much hate and so much jealousy and competitiveness in this. It's like, for the love of Pete, we're supposed to be learning from each other. Quit being low vibrational. Get into the higher frequency where we are working through a collective consciousness. And in that collective, and this is the best explanation I can give people, if you're looking at a 5,000 piece puzzle and you only have 4,999 pieces, you haven't got anything. You've got to have that last piece. As many experiences that I've had, I'm not any better than anybody that's never had any and just read about them in a book. It's all valid. We are all equal. We are all on the same playing field. And the one thing that you cannot have in work with cryptids is ego. Now, I'm very confident in the information that I have because I got it from them. In no way do I have an ego about it. None. It can be taken away from me in an instant. It's not my information. It's theirs that they've shared with me. Just because I've had encounters and, up close and, lived among them and, and these kinds of things, I'm not any better than anybody else. I just had different experiences. But there's people that have had experiences I haven't, I learn from those. We all learn from each other. That's the way it works. It's called the collective for a reason. And that one puzzle piece that could be somebody that's never had an encounter and just read a couple of books about him is every bit as vital and important as those other 4,999. And we just have to really, keep our minds about us and understand that there's nobody better than anybody else. I don't care, how many movies you've been in. I've been in a couple myself, big deal. Doesn't change who I am. I still go to bed at night. I still, and it's the same thing with everybody else. I don't do ego, I just don't get involved in that. We're all just people.
Right. People with energy. People with
Yeah,
energy.
exactly. Other than our physical body, we are light beings. We are light beings. We are frequency, energy, light. We have a soul, and we work through the collective consciousness. The reason why the cryptids succeed and our people fail is we refuse to work through the collective. Now, we do have a large number of high frequency people that do work in that collective, but we also have a lot of people that don't. And when they don't work in the collective, they're out to take care of themselves before anybody else. That's not a way to live. It isn't.
Yeah.
It's unsuccessful.
Yeah.
It's damaging. And that's what creates the conflict in our world today. We're all in it together. If we don't help each other, what are we going to have? And you just have to be mindful of that. You know what I mean? It doesn't, the rest doesn't matter.
Right.
I have some cryptids that I work with completely through MindSpeak. I have others that I'm out in the woods and I'm actively working with them that way, or I'm physically talking to them. Every situation's different. And I have dealt with the bad ones, trust me, but not usually at my home. The ones around my home are usually pretty good, other than window peekers.
Okay. So what's a window peeker? I haven't heard of that one.
Oh, they're constantly looking in the window. It's like most people have curtains and drapes on their windows. Okay. I live out in the woods, so it's not a big issue. My family likes curtains and drapes on the window. Unfortunately, like in my room, if I put curtains and drapes up, I get pounding on the walls and the windows all night long because they don't like it. So I change my clothes in my bathroom, which nobody can look into. I wear my pajamas to bed, and I don't have curtains on my front windows or in my room because they watch through the night. And I will wake up in the middle of the night and there's giant faces in the windows. or handprints on the windows. You want to know the amount of handprints on my car. I got a different car about a year ago. And the first night it was here, I heard them outside. They were sounding off all night. I got up the next day, went out to the car. This whole car was so riddled with handprints and giant handprints. There were ones from the kids. There was some from the adults. I mean, you can dust for prints on my car at any given time. It's absolutely hysterical. And their dermal ridges run differently than ours. We have a lot of swirls, wavy lines, that kind of thing on our dermal ridges. Theirs go more horizontal, although not perfectly horizontal, but they are more of a horizontal type dermal ridge. So you can pretty much tell that. And like the thumbprints were like 10 sizes bigger than my thumb. I have some pictures of my thumb next to it because it shows the size difference. But yeah, so we get a lot of window peekers, or I'll put a curtain and go like halfway at an angle across my window so they can look down in the lower part. Some of the taller ones get pissy about that because then they can't get down there. But yeah, I get a lot of peekers, Years ago, I lived in Michigan, and they like my bed where they can see it from the window. And that particular group walked uncloaked around my yard all day, all night. It was very normal to look out in the yard and see a Sasquatch walking around. And so I always left my window open a crack at night because I'd like to listen to the crickets and I like to listen to them. And they would sit outside my window and talk all night long anyway. And I would wake up and they had put their hand through the window and I'd have mud and leaves and everything else in my hair in the morning, where they would pat my hair and play with my hair. And so at one point I got tired of it. I'd get up in the morning, my hair was all muddy and nasty. So I went ahead and I moved the bed, and they screamed all night long. And I was like, fine, going back over to the window. So now I pretty much make sure they can't reach me now where my bed is at, but I'm no longer in Michigan in that group, so that's not an issue. I've only got some of that group that came, but yeah, they definitely like to keep an eye for sure.
Make sure you're all
and like I
safe
said,
and all. Is that how you feel?
oh yeah. I mean, we occasionally get, everybody gets some bad stuff in and they usually take care of it, but yeah. So we've had a lot of people
Yeah.
that have been over to the house that have had activity and seen them and things and gotten some photos. We don't usually do photo ops, but yeah.
Yeah. So, so the photos that you guys take is like you're standing there with them and they're
No,
seen and
no,
everything. You don't
no,
get
not at
those.
all. No, not at all. The pictures that I have, I do have a couple where they're standing in the trees behind me. And I think I sent you one. There's a mother's head and there's a baby in front and a baby on her head. And that
Oh, yes.
actually was cropped out of a larger picture that is me standing in the woods, and they were standing behind the tree behind me. As far as pictures of us standing together, that's not ever going to happen. I'm just telling you right now, not going to happen. They don't like their pictures taken. They go by Native American traditions where they believe the camera lens steals their soul. And so they are very unhappy about that. Most of my photos, because I read energy signatures, I can find them when they're cloaked. And so I don't need to
Oh,
physically
wow.
see them to find them. So when they're cloaked, I try to get their pictures that way, and they're much happier about it. And then they show up on camera in a physical form. So that's,
Okay.
that works best for them. Like I said, I have gotten pictures where they were standing in the woods behind me or something like that of that nature. But no, we don't do oh, come on up and sit down. No, we're not singing Kumbaya and roasting hot dogs together. That's not going to happen. Will they be outside? I can't even promise they're outside when I go out. Everything is up to them. They don't do
Right.
anything because I say to do it. That's not going to happen. Um, they do their own thing, and I just enjoy the ride. You know, I do. They're really good at my house. We haven't had too many problems. It's kind of like dealing with Bam Bam Rubble, as far as the strength. Um,
Yeah.
I have mini pigs, and they have a pen in the garage, and then they have a pen outside. They're tremendous with my mini pigs. I never have a problem. I went up when I moved here, hugged on all my animals, and I said, these are like my children. I don't hurt your pets, because they do have pets. I don't hurt your pets. You don't hurt mine. I don't hurt your children. You don't hurt mine. I love these like my kids. And I've never in my lifetime have they hurt any of my animals. I've got cats, I've got dogs, I've got my mini pigs, and they go in I take care of anything that comes in my yard gets fed. Okay, that's just the way it works. Stray dogs, stray cats, I have possums I feed, raccoons I feed, bird, you name it, it gets fed. And the feral cats, as I get them tamed down, I have 2 pens. One's for boys, one's for girls, so that we can eliminate some of the baby population. And they have lids on the pens. I go to feed them, and their bowl is in underneath something so that the rain can't get in the food bowl for them. And yet I will go out there, all the food will be gone, and the bowl will be filled with pine cones that can't fit through the kennel fencing. So something's going and taking out the food and putting the pine cones in there. And then I also have an extremely large bowl that holds about 5 pounds of cat food that goes on my front porch. The ferals that I can't touch or I can't catch will come up there and eat at night. And then I have a cat house on there that has a self-warming heated pad in there. And the possums go in there, the raccoons go in there, the cats go in there. They all bunch up together. And they all eat. And my door has a glass panel on 3 sides of it. And so you'll be sitting on the couch, and it's not unusual to see a black Sasquatch head bending down and taking food out of the bowl. Because when we moved here, Zerky was I want to say he was probably only 2 or 3 years old when we moved in, and he's very, very playful. He's tremendous. I love him. He's a big boy now. I have a photo of him that I just absolutely adore. But he's bigger now. And so he comes up on the porch. I suspect there's him and another one that I suspect is the one stealing the cat food. But they've never hurt the animals. You hear all these stories, and I think that, everyone is different. Okay? Just like we have people that are animal abusers, so do they. I have a dog that I've had for 9 years. I found him because he was dumped out by where the alligators were, and they used him as a bait dog. This dog has been tortured in ways that most people cannot even believe happened, from having battery acid poured all over him so that as a 4-month-old puppy, so that he would scream and that would make the pit bulls attack him. And that's not a slander against pit bulls. They were trained for fighting. Those particular ones, not all of them. I've had pits before. And to this day, 9 years later, he does not bark. He can handle myself. And he is my special needs dog. He has his own dog so that if I'm not with him, he has his own emotional support dog. And they are tremendous with him. They're incredibly kind to him. But just like that person that did that to that baby, they have ones that are bad too. And I'll tell you something else. I'm in South Carolina. I've been working for the last 2 years to get moved to Texas and building on the land that I have out there. So I will end up there. It's just taken a lot longer than I thought. But I got lost my train. They're talking in my head right now. I'm sorry, guys. So when I got here, he was really abused, but they worked with them. They were kind to him. The group around here, I've got 3 groups here, and they're all very kind. But like in South Carolina, when you deer hunt, you drop your dogs off out on the road. They go into the woods and they run the deer. I'm from Michigan. That is unheard of. That is like a sin against nature. You don't run deer. But here, there's so many venomous snakes. There's more of the venomous snakes than there are people. And so they drop these dogs off to run through the woods, run the deer out towards the road, and then they'll pop off the deer. If they don't bring out a deer, they dump the dogs. And we had about 4 years ago, there was 4 hound dogs running these woods, and they would go after the Sasquatch. And the Sasquatch would mind speak with me and say, get out here, help us. And I would go out there and try to get these dogs out away from them. And it finally got so bad, they almost got one of the Sasquatch kids. It was a little girl. And so they told me, they said, we have to kill him. We have to. As a parent and a grandmother, anything touches my babies and I'm taking it out. Okay. You know, I have a massive heart. I'm a massive animal lover. I will take abuse, and I have my entire life from various things. Don't mess with my kids and my grandkids because that's not going to end pretty. So I can understand where they came from. You know, when you're talking about a
Right.
life-threatening situation, and they did, they almost hurt this little girl. So they ended up killing them. So there are situations where they do get aggressive with animals, but I really want people to think about it. Was that animal being aggressive with them? And it was self-defense? Because if you're out in the woods and a feral dog attacks you, and let's say you're a hunter and you have a weapon, you're going to protect yourself. You're going to protect your family. Like, we can't expect them to
Hmm.
do any less. And some,
No.
just like the animal abusers that hurt my baby over here, and he's not the only one that I have that was abused. I have a few. And just like that scenario, some of theirs aren't good either. These are human hybrids. Okay. So understand that there's good ones, there's bad ones, there's psychopaths, there's murderers, there's pedophiles. Everything like we have, so do they. And it's not worse because it comes from them. It's just a fact. I will say this, there is more of them that are kind than are bad. But the ones that are kind are tremendous. The ones that are bad are lethal just because of sheer
Wow.
strength.
Yeah. Because you hear that they're huge and they're very
Hmm.
strong, and they're carrying deer around like it's a piece of paper, and it's like
Yeah. When I
wow.
was in
So
Michigan,
one last, go ahead.
no, when I was in Michigan, my property was backed up against a cattle farm. And if any of their cows died, they would go to the back of the property, which is right directly behind my home. And they would use the backhoe, dig it out, bury the cow in it. And they said, yeah, those coyotes have that cow out of there by morning. No drag marks, no marks of digging, no anything. And I'm thinking, and there would be cow bones. When I moved into that place, there was cow bones filling my woods. And I was like, there's no cows here. Why is there cow bones all over? Because the Sasquatch were going and pulling that cow up and walking off with it. There was no drag marks. How many coyotes are going to be able to move a 1,500-pound heifer that died and not drag it? I
Hmm.
mean, overnight. So yeah,
Yeah.
craziness.
So one last question here, because we are over an hour already. I mean, it goes so fast. Um, so I once in a while will listen to like those 411
Hmm.
shows that are
Yeah,
out there. And
yeah. David does a good job with them.
I I am like kind of intrigued with those too, because it's like the mystery of it, and like what are your thoughts of it? Me, I'm like, okay, was it ETs that are picking these
Okay.
guys up? Is it
Yeah.
they
First
talk
off,
about maybe, all the other things?
yeah. First off, in the national parks, there is more than just a Sasquatch and Dogman that can do serious damage. There are so many things in those woods, whether it's an open portal, whether it's an alien, whether it's something that came through a portal. There are so many things that you can't even comprehend it. The question that I get asked a lot is, are any of them Sasquatch abductions? Yes. Are any of them Dogman abductions? Yes. There was one in particular that I was given from what I'm going to leave it at that, from what took it or took that person. I don't want to give details on it out of respect for the family and out of respect for
Absolutely.
David Pilates because that is his movie. It is not my movie. I have talked to him on that particular situation and gotten confirmation on it. But out of respect for him and out of respect for the family, I don't want to give any details. But yeah, and I am able to connect with some of the things that have caused people to be taken. So yeah, I mean, I think he does an exceptional job in getting the information out. And I think, as far as getting that information out, making it public, I give him a great deal of credit for that because people don't realize when you go out in these national parks, it's, everybody's so excited. Look at the beauty, look at the trees, look at the rivers, you might see a deer now and then. And that's great. And they're a huge revenue for our country and in other countries. People have no idea what's living out there. They have no clue. They have no idea that there's vortexes out there. There's portals that you don't even know are there and people walk in. I know of a couple cases that were put up on TV and that's exactly what happened. And there's so much in there. A Sasquatch and a Dogman are the least your problems. Are they out there? Have they ever taken people? Absolutely. You're going into their home. If you're sitting in your living room at night and a Sasquatch or a Dogman come barreling in the door, you will do whatever you have to protect yourself and to protect your family. When we are out in the woods, we're in a shared territory, and now you're in their homes. It does not mean we cannot go out there, okay? What it does mean is we have to be safe about it. Don't go alone. That's ridiculous. Even in a group, anything can happen. But it's not just Sasquatch and Dogman out there. In fact, there's a newer one that I didn't know was out. I think it's relatively new. It could be older and I just hadn't paid attention to it, that Dave Pilates has out right now. Very interesting. I encourage people to watch his movies for a variety of reasons. Not because I'm close personal friends with David. Yes, I've had conversations with him. I have no issue with him at all. But because you can learn something, okay? These situations are very real. And because they are real, they need to be taken seriously. People need to be aware that in all that beauty is a wide open wilderness. And there are many things that can live in it. Some are government created, some are alien created, some are naturally born here. There's portals, there's vortexes, there's, all these different things. It's just not as easy. Now, I go out in the woods. I'll be the first to say I do. I'm not in a lot of the national parks. I have been, but I don't go by myself. And anything can happen to anybody. So nobody's 100% safe. So do your due diligence. Do the best you can do. Whether it's have a compass, have this, that, or the other thing, depending on how far in you're going. Just be smart about it. But know that it's not always just a Sasquatch and Dogman. There are cases, absolutely, 100%. But they're not the only things out there to be worried about. And I feel like I would have a better chance with them than some of the other things.
Yeah. With your communication and your vibration with them, yeah, you would probably be safer than most people. But yeah, I agree.
You would
You
think
really
the
do have
bad
to be
stuff
careful out
would
there.
rather, yeah, the bad stuff would rather I'm dead. The good stuff is normally very happy to follow me around or whatever. And I have a very dear friend and his family has property and land, and I will go out there with him and I get followed around quite a bit. And that's lovely. But again, you don't know what you're going to get. Like I'm not safe with the bad stuff. The good stuff
Right.
I have no fear of, but the bad stuff doesn't like me because I stop the bad stuff and try to help the good.
Yeah. And applause to you for doing.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate
Thank
that.
you for doing that because yeah, it's because that's going to help us out in the future by you stopping
Oh,
them.
absolutely. My
Yeah, it's
clients are
helping.
doing my clients are doing energy and frequency work like a boss. Even if it's nothing else but going out in their yard and moving energy out in the multiverse, out in the atmosphere, it helps the entire planet raise its frequency. I have clients all over the globe. And it's just, these are amazing people. And it's not because of me, it's because they're being who their true authentic self is. I'm just along for the ride, and I'm honored and blessed that they even let me, be part of their journey. But, it's something everybody can do. There's not anybody out there that can't do it. If I can do it, a trained chimp can, you know, but it does help connect you to your higher self and through the collective, and it will make a difference. This planet's frequency is changing. There's no doubt about it. That's why all the power storms, that's why all the energy storms and the solar flares and everything that's going on and the wacky weather and all of these other things because our planet is transitioning. We just have to do it with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a good thing to do.
Here it is.
You
And it's
know,
going to help
mix with
bring
it.
on the
Yeah.
disclosures for the aliens and the other cryptids.
Yes. Yes. Excellent. Well, let's raise all of our vibrations. And I do love
Definitely.
it because all the way through the show, I've been watching your aura or the white lines around you and
Yeah.
all kinds of, yeah, I see things around you there. That's been exciting.
Oh, thank
But
you.
yeah,
I actually,
thank you. Thank
I
you.
got,
Thank you.
I got a package today and FedEx pulled up and I walked out to get this package and there was two men in the truck, the one that was being trained and the other one was sitting in the passenger seat. And I walked up and he looked at me and he said, "Oh my gosh." He says, "You could light up a room." And I said, "What?" I'm like, "Really? I just want my package. That's all I want." And he's like, "You glow." And he's like, "You just totally glow.
Yeah.
Like I could be around you all day long." And I thought, this is getting a little weird for me, but it was very nice. And he was lovely. You know, he didn't cross any lines.
Yeah.
He was lovely. And I appreciated the compliment.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
high
you
frequency
probably don't
people
get that
glow.
very often.
Yeah, high frequency people, they glow in what I call the paranormal spectrum. And the only way you can see that is if you are a high frequency people or person, your vision changes, which means you don't see just the third dimension. You see things in what I term the paranormal spectrum. So you would be able to see auras. You would be able to see that glowing even if other people can't.
Yeah. I see it with cameras, but not too often. I see it. Well, I should change that. I have seen apparitions in that white light. That's like a
Hmm.
shadow, but it's all white. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's been
Well,
amazing. That's
I
been
thank
good.
you for the compliment. It's very much appreciated.
Yeah, it's beautiful watching it. And like I see like a head that rises up over you, above you, that's in blue.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's an amazing world. We just have to see all of it, not just the third dimension.
it's fun. It's fun to play with it. So well, thank
Definitely.
you so much for being with us. And
Yeah,
oh
thank
my
you.
goodness, you're welcome back. And we
Oh,
could
sure.
talk so much. There's so much to talk about.
Yeah, yeah, anytime. And thank you so much for having me.
All right. Well, if anyone else out there has any stories you would like to share, email me, lighttalk423@gmail.com. And we will see everybody next time. Thanks. Bye.
Bye bye.